Future Unfolding is an indie game about exploration. The player is placed in a world with almost brushstroke style art, and well, that's about it. You're left to your own devices to figure out how to play and what needs to be done. It's reminiscent of games like Proteus due to its emphasis of player exploration, and also games like Mirror Moon and Antichamber, due to the fact that the player has to discover how the controls work, not only in and of themselves, but also with the world. It is worth noting at this point that I will have to talk about the controls and basic goals of the game to discuss it. Anything I'm going over will be things that the player can discover in somewhere around like 10 minutes of gameplay probably. If you want a completely fresh experience, I think you know what to do. I'll start by addressing the elephant in the room. The game displayed a pretty bad graphical error throughout my gameplay, causing a shadow to take up about half the screen. I updated my drivers and fiddled with all the settings to no avail. This is certainly a bad mark for Future Unfolding, but I'm going to look past it in the remainder of the view as I want to assess the actual gameplay. What really attracted me to this game was the concept that the player had to learn how to play on their own. I'm a sucker for systems like that. However, I found myself disappointed by this. It didn't take me more than 5 minutes to realize that the game has 3 controls: movement and 2 action buttons. One action button is a sprint and the other is akin to an interaction button. This left very little to be discovered. Of course, there was figuring out how said controls interact with the world. Once again, this was underwhelming. Due to the minimal nature of the controls, figuring out if something is important is as simple as pressing 2 buttons. Learning the controls was certainly a point in which this game failed because there really just wasn't that much to learn. Moving past that, the next interesting bit is the exploration. Here the game is a bit better. There is indeed a world that the player can explore, and it is certainly not necessary to explore every bit of an area. I found a few secrets after a short time playing, and I'm certain that there's many more. Where the exploration falters a bit is in the level design. Instead of having a single open world, the game runs off of what are, in essence, levels. Each level consists of either finding a few triangles to sit at, or talking to a few animals, and then proceeding to the exit. This decision didn't make much sense to me. If the game is trying to promote exploration, then it would seem that creating a single, mostly unbroken world would be far more conducive to exploration than this level-based system. Especially in the light of the fact that the doors to levels seem to close upon completion. The majority of the map is also made up of dense forests. These forests can be walked through, but only with a considerable amount of effort, as most of the trees are so tightly packed as to be unpassable. Given that the unwooded areas were the beaten path, the tight woods push the player to just do the objectives because of the sheer nuisance of having to walk through the forest. Quite frankly, this seems completely counter to promoting player exploration. I will say, however, the controls are quite smooth. Movement is responsive, and the actions always seem to be crisp. I never had a moment of failure that was caused by a button not being registered or from some jerky movement. It is certainly the case that the game plays quite nicely. It would be nice if there was actually more to play, though. The art is also a very good point of this game. All of the animations for actual movements are surprisingly clean and crisp in this game. The aesthetic is a combination of being different from other games and really well put together. Every element fits into the aesthetic very nicely. Ignoring the graphical glitch, Future Unfolding is certainly a good-looking game. In the end, I really found this game to be uncompelling, and I was, quite frankly, disinterested by it very quickly. The narrative was dull, being expressed to the player in tiny snippets of cryptic poetry, and there was no particular challenge to the game. Had there been more significant puzzles to solve or a narrative that developed more clearly much faster, Future Unfolding could have had potential. As it is, the game is not terrible, maybe not even bad, but it isn't good either. It sits in a realm of mediocrity. For a price tag of $20, I would certainly never pick it up. It might be worth it at $5 to $10, but only if you're already intrigued in the game. Thanks for watching, and, as always, enjoy the rest of your day.